Get into NHL playoffs betting with Sports Interaction. Before the game starts, live in play, or how your favorite player will perform. Doing it right since 1997, Sports Interaction is Canada's sportsbook. With the most competitive odds, Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Before we get to stick taps, any thoughts on Martin St. Louis and the 3-year contract extension he signs with the Montreal Canadiens?
I'm happy to see him back. We're not surprised to see him back, of course. I think his contract might even have an option for a 4th year. So, I like that we're going to get to see him over multiple seasons. It's kind of my view. And a little bit of an outside the box hiring, by the Canadiens in February. But, the way he speaks and like his views on the game, he's still such a player in mindset, which I think is fascinating. And, I love the quotes he was giving, Julian. I'm sure you were on the conference call about, not sacrificing a couple wins in this coming season over the development of his younger players. I mean, this idea that he's trying to build a team to win over a long period of time. I mean, not every coach is afforded that kind of luxury, right? I mean, some coaches, they're coaching for their job every season. And so, they need a team that's gunning for the playoffs. But it seems like Montreal is taking a wider view. And I just think with a coach like St. Louis, with his approach, where literally a guy who's been through waivers, been a 4th liner, been an Art Ross Trophy winner, been an All-Star, won a Stanley Cup. I mean, really just run the gamut of his career as a player. I think he can relate to the different, situations on his roster. And I think he's going to coach in a manner that's a little different. And so I'm kind of curious to see how that all plays out and what it means, obviously, for whoever this number 1 draft pick is that the Canadiens make next month. But also Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki and some of the younger players on the roster that I think are really going to benefit from a different approach from the coach.
Yeah, like this 3-year extension, I kind of see it like this for St. Louis. That first year, so next year, all about continuing to develop your players and ensure that whether it's Shane Wright or Juraj Slafkovsky or whoever else is drafted, if they're on the team or not, and all the other young players, ensuring that they continue to progress. And I still think that, considering the fact they finished in last place, like the bar doesn't need to be raised all, like the floor is they're at the floor. Like if they jump up from 32nd to 28th, that's still progress of some sort. They don't need to win that much. They don't need to be competitive next year. I'm curious about what it'll be like after year 2, or maybe in year 2, when Martin St. Louis has to get to a point where he has to start winning games. Like, what is that going to be like? Will he have progressed enough as a coach to get to a point where he is all about getting his team to win games? Because I'm sure that lineup will look very different in year 2 compared to what it was this past year and this upcoming season.
Well, I think next year is going to look different too. And I don't get a sense organizationally that the Canadiens want to be bad for years. Like I think that there will be a certain pressure to win at a point, but you're right to point out. I don't think that point is this October. I mean, it'd be great if they could do that. No one's saying lose on purpose. If somehow you can get these young guys playing in a way, if maybe that number 1 overall pick is a little bit more ready to make an immediate impact in the NHL. I mean, lots of things can happen. I think of the 16-17 Maple Leafs, when Austin Matthews was a rookie, Mitch Marner was a rookie, they ended up making the playoffs. And I don't think too many people expected that at that point in time. It can happen if you're young guys. If you find someone who can score 40 goals as a rookie, which Austin Matthews did, for example, or something like that, make a real contribution. And yeah, I don't know. I got a feeling about St. Louis. It's just, there's something different there. I mean, obviously we've seen tons of former players become head coaches in the league, but I feel like he's got a real unique view. And I think he's got a lot of self-belief. I mean, he's had to have self-belief to build the career he built. And I see someone who's not going to just follow the industry norms. I see someone who's going to do what he believes is right, do it no matter what anyone writes or says in the media. And when you do that, I think that you have the possibility to really do something special. I think that's what the Lightning organization has done, quite honestly. I mean, obviously, they've got great players, but they've gotten them in a lot of different ways They got Nikita Kucherov, for example. They drafted him at a time a lot of teams were shying away from drafting Russian players because there was a concern in sort of the mid 2010s or early 2010s that Russian players weren't going to sign in the NHL and that you'd be wasting your pick. And they also, that's when they got Vasilevsky and Vladimir Mesnikov and Nikita Nesterov and a bunch of others. They've not followed which way the wind was blowing. They made their own decisions and stuck to it, and I think it's really paid off. And I think that's what you're going to see with St. Louis as a coach, and that's why I really believe, even though he didn't sort of follow the traditional model, climb his way up through the AHL, be an assistant, this and that. I actually believe that his will and his intelligence create the possibilities. He's hyper successful.
Yeah, it helps that he has the career that he has, or he had the career that he had in the NHL, and he said it a number of times. He's the best thing he's good at is getting better. He's shown that as a player, and I think for Canadiens fans, they'll want him to do that as a head coach. But again, for next year, if he's able to continue the development of their younger players, continuing to build whatever culture they're trying to build with the Montreal Canadiens, that's still going to be a win. I'm sure a lot of fans are still going to want them to be in the sweepstakes for Connor Bedard in the draft next year. But if there's improvement from the players, I don't think too many people can complain too much about what Martin St. Louis does as head coach of the Montreal Canadiens, which is still very, as someone who has seen him play in like his best years, it's still really surreal to like go into the press conference room and see him walk in and be like, oh my God, like I watched you in the 2004 final and I wanted the Lightning to win that year. And now you are the head coach of the Montreal Canadiens, a team I cover. It's a bit surreal for me.
Life comes at you fast, bud.